Hi, Ellie. How are you?
They're good. How are you doing, Chris?
I'm doing well this morning. Thank you for taking the time to chat with us today.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to chat with y'all.
Awesome. So I thought we could start by kind of having you tell us a little bit about your journey into music, kind of how you got into folk music and decided to, pursue that as a career path.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. So I grew up in a pretty musical family, I would say. Music was always a part of our household. I remember singing from a really early age. But it was never something I really paid close attention to just because it felt like such a normal part of day-to-day life, I didn't like recognize it as this like special other thing. And most of my life too, like through my whole upbringing, I was primarily a visual artist. That was sort of the medium of creativity that I was feeling most connected to. Um, really until I was like 18, 19 years old. I didn't start playing the guitar until I was 19. So a little bit later in life than I think most people kind of in this world,
Right.
doing what I'm doing now. But I don't know. I think that things kind of find you exactly when they need to. And I think timing, looking back on my life, I think the timing was exactly what it needed to be. I ended up doing more music kind of through college. I was a part of a folk band. So that's sort of where I got my exposure to like the first real shows I was playing, all of that. Um, and so I went to school in Arkansas, and there were these like old time fiddle jams that would happen every Monday night at this little coffee shop that I would go to every week. And I remember watching and just being like so like enamored, completely captivated by these players and this music. And it just it like felt like it was a part of me, and I like wanted to know more. I think that's like when folk music in particular really kind of grabbed a hold of me, I would say. Um, but it took me a long time to actually, man, it's like a long, winding journey. It took me a long time to actually start pursuing it. After college, I was in the corporate world for a little while, um, for a few years. And then um, I finally was, all I ever really wanted to do was sing songs for people. So um, the day finally came when I, quit my job and moved to Nashville and yeah, just said yes to something I wanted to say yes to for many years.
Awesome. Now, you have your first full length coming out soon in March. So the title track is kind of speaks to me when the trouble's all done because it's been such trouble for so many years here, everybody and experiencing, personally, but, on a global level. So I kind of wanted to see what was your personal inspiration for that song and kind of how it morphed into the song that it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that song really, it was the first song that I wrote for this record actually. And that would have been back in April of 2020, when I wrote that song. And I consider that song sort of the wellspring of the record as a whole. Um, Sort of just this message of hope for, when when the trouble's all done. I think for myself, so just timeline wise, um, I don't know if you're familiar, but a tornado came through Nashville on March 3rd of 2020
Okay.
and um, displaced where we were displaced me and who I was living with for a time. We had to move
Oh,
out of our house because of it. Um, and so we were living in, a temporary home And, a week later, of course, the like national pandemic shutdown happened. And so suddenly we were in this strange place that was not our own. Obviously, everything was changing in the world. And um, yeah, I felt like I was living in this strange, like fever dream almost. And yeah, and even like, I think I just felt myself longing for like this, I think this world outside of like the time we all live in, right? Like as humans, we live within the construct of time. But I think I just felt this like very true reality that like our spirits were meant for something else, something a bit more eternal, a bit more lasting, something just more correct, where everything wasn't so broken like it was and is in our world still.
Absolutely.
Um, so yeah, I think I was just kind of thinking about that. I was thinking about, and I was finding a lot of respite in nature at that time too. I would like wake up in the morning and um I'd been like laid off from my job, and so my days were open at that time, and I would just put on my tennis shoes and I would start walking, and I wouldn't come back to the house for like 3 4 hours. Sometimes I would just walk and I would listen to the wind and to water, and I would look at trees and grass, and it that sounds silly, but I think it
It doesn't
really,
really. I think a lot of people at
yeah.
that time turned to the outdoors and things that was the one good thing I think about the pandemic is it took us out of where our normal daily lives were and took us back into the nature a little because that's all we could do.
Yes, yeah, I think so. And I think there was something really powerful about feeling like I was a person who was created and I wanted to be around other things that were also created. There was like this oneness occurring, I think, that just felt good and like exactly where I needed to be, and kind of gave a glimpse into that life I hoped for and was imagining.
So take us into the recording experience for this record because it's pretty raw, stripped down type of record. Did you go into it kind
Mhm.
of just saying I just want to just play these songs and not have any kind of bells and whistles and tricks in the studio?
Yes, absolutely. That was a really like intentional decision that was made by myself and my friend and producer and collaborator Jack Schneider, who produced the album. When, gosh, kind of when I started writing these songs, and kind of we realized, oh, we're like a record is being like is coming together. All of a sudden, like there was a moment when you realize an album is being written, kind of, and because it didn't start that way. And I think the thing that felt most important was I wanted, if I was gonna make, an album, I knew the next songs I put out into the world, I wanted them to sound like I was just in somebody's home, and maybe we're in their living room and some friends are just gathered around, and maybe we're having a drink, we're talking, and there's a guitar in the corner and somebody picks it up and passes it around. I wanted it to sound like I was just in somebody's home singing a song. Um and so, yeah, so every song on the record was um their single takes, performances. Everything was just performed live, straight to tape. Um, so they're imperfect, and there are some unexpected little moments in each performance that um for me, like that is where the magic of the record really lives. Um, I didn't want to go make perfect songs. I wanted to capture little moments in time is really what we were after when we made this record. Um, yeah, it's even thinking back, like I reference them more as like performances more than songs almost. Um, because we played the song, we'd play it straight through, and if it didn't feel honest, if it didn't feel like the heart of the song, the moment, then we'd play it again. And for the most part, we wouldn't play the songs more than a few times straight through. But I think this record just so much was about time and looking for the moments in life and in this world where time sort of stops existing for a second,
I love
if that
that.
makes sense.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that it's kind of like perfectly imperfect, finding all the
Yeah.
beauty in the little things, instead of trying to just polish it to the point where it's not even, sometimes music anymore. It just becomes too much computerized stuff, for lack of a
Yeah.
better word, and it's not authentic to me
Yeah.
when it gets to that point.
Mm,
But you do have some surprises on there because I was reading about the song Daughter and some birds.
mm.
So I was like, wait a minute, I got to go back and listen to it a few more times.
Oh,
Really, I want to hear them in there. So tell us a little bit about the birds and your decision
oh.
now to keep that into the record.
Yes, wow. I'm so glad that you kind of latched on to that piece. Yeah, so this is one of my like very favorite moments of the whole recording process for this record. Um, so we were recording the song Daughter, which is actually the one song from the record that has been previously released.
Okay.
Um, Obviously in a different way. It sounds a lot different, but the song itself is out in the world, and it felt really important to include on this project as well for a couple different reasons. Um, but so when we were recording the song, we were at Sound Emporium in Nashville in their B room. And that track is just myself and Jack Schneider playing. So it's just the two of us on this performance. And we were facing each other as we uh, played through the song. There's kind of a moment where everything's quiet after it's done, right? You kind of let the tape keep rolling until it's done. And Mike Stankiewicz, the engineer for this record, came over the talkback from the control room of the studio or whatever to talk to us in the tracking room. And I remember the first thing he said over the talkback was, I think maybe he was like, "Oh, that was great, guys. Did you hear the birds?" And I couldn't believe it because in the moment, all I could think about was as we started the song, you could hear birds right outside, sort of the exterior door of the B room. They were just chirping, which was really unusual because, a studio, it's like the sound is very like enclosed and kind of perfect and
Right, right.
you know right. And so it was like almost strange that you could hear these birds outside the door, like almost like that wasn't a thing that should have even have been possible. But I was like, yeah, Mike, I heard the birds. Like, please tell me, we got that on tape. And when we listened back, sure enough, at the very start of the track, when it's just Jack and I playing, you can hear really faint chirping in the beginning of the track. And um, oh, I was just so thrilled about that. And again, that's like a moment that can only happen when you're just sitting down, playing a song, tracking it live. Like, we could not have planned that. We could not have, like, sort of manufactured that. Like, it
Right.
just was something that happened. And that's forever that moment. Like, nothing can ever change that.
And that sort of seems to fit in with the whole theme of the record about just capturing the moments.
Yes, yes, 100,000%. So I
Yeah,
was just,
that's awesome. I love that because it just totally like the whole idea from the start of the record, and then that happens in the studio is like Kismet or something. It's everything coming 360 and making it a
yeah,
perfect moment. I love that so much.
thank you. Yeah, I,
Now,
I couldn't believe it.
with the record about to come out, I think you've done a couple live shows already recently.
Yes. Yeah, we've got some shows in the works. I'm actually currently I'm talking to you from Boston right now.
Okay,
Um, I was playing at Club Passim last night,
nice.
which was just an incredible night. 60-year-old legendary folk club. I was so happy to get to play there for the first time. It was really special. Um, and then I'm playing a couple shows in New York this week, heading that way tomorrow. I'm really looking forward to the album release show, which will be in Nashville on April 28th at the Station Inn.
Okay, so a big
Uh,
one there.
yes, a big one. Really just looking forward to that. I think it'll be a special night, just a real celebration and in a room with like so much history. I feel really, really quite honored that it's happening there. It'll be a co-bill with Jack Schneider, who produced the record, and we'll be, playing through the record start to finish, and I think it'll be a good night.
Awesome. Make sure they leave a door open in case there's some birds or anything out there where you can.
Right. Yeah, let them all in.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today at Shutter 16 and filling us in on the record. I just think it's a lovely record and just a lovely statement piece for you, I think, to start off. I think it's if you were setting out to make a record like this and you had planned it, I don't think that you could have gotten the result that you got. I think it just kind of had to naturally happen. Um, and I think that it's just a huge, wonderful statement of who you are musically. And I so look forward to what you come up with next.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. It means a great deal. Thank you for listening and supporting it. Yeah, it's everything.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much. I
Alex.
hope you have a wonderful day. And, hopefully you'll get some more performances throughout the Southeast and we'll be able to come and check you out sometime.
Yes, would love that. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Ellie.
you.
Have a great day. Bye
You
bye.
too. Bye.